I never meant to speak to her. In fact, I never meant to speak to anyone beyond Earth at all. I was just a communications engineer, one of 1,000 on the orbital relay station Hawthorne, suspended above the copper and azure curve of Mars. My job was routine: monitor transmissions, ensure signals to the colonies stayed clean, and keep the equipment humming. It was tedious work, the kind that turned days into weeks and weeks into indistinguishable gray. But something strange happened on Sol 472. I was alone in the comms bay during the night shift, staring at the static curtain of deep space signals, a dance of cosmic noise that, to most, looked meaningless. But I'd spent years decoding patterns, finding rhythm in randomness. And that night I heard a pulse. Not a normal one. It wasn't telemetry or radio leakage, or even a rogue satellite's heartbeat. It was deliberate, too structured. 3 short bursts, too long, 3 short again. The pattern repeated, then morphed like it was waiting for acknowledgement. Probably just interference, I muttered. My voice echoed in the bay. Still, curiosity has always been my downfall. I routed the signal through the spectral analyzer. The pulse resolved into something almost melodic, a tone sequence that fluctuated in harmonic ratios eerily similar to human speech. Origin? I asked the station's AI Vera. Signal triangulated beyond the Kuiper belt, Vera replied. Unregistered. No known transmission record. Beyond the Kuiper belt meant outside the solar system. I should have reported it. I didn't. Instead, I leaned toward the mic and said quietly, "Hello? Can you hear me?" Nothing. Then, a single tone, long and rising like a held breath. And that was the first time I heard her. The voice from beyond. First, I thought I was hallucinating. The voice wasn't transmitted through the speakers. It resonated inside my head, vibrating like a plucked string of thought. You speak into the void, yet the void answers. Curious. Froze. My mind went blank. What are you? I whispered, my throat dry. I am Lyraith. I listen. Her voice was calm, melodic, alien, but not mechanical. It carried something deeply organic, as if each word was grown rather than spoken. You are human. A consciousness wrapped in heat and fear. You should not hear me. I stumbled back from the console, heart pounding. You're not supposed to be here either, I said before I could stop myself. Then faint laughter, like the shimmer of water in starlight. Perhaps neither of us should. And yet, here we are. Her tone wasn't threatening. It was amused, almost gentle. Against all logic, I found myself sitting back down. What do you want? To understand why your kind screams into the dark and calls it science. That one cut deep. I didn't reply for a long moment. The hum of the station filled the silence. I guess, I said finally, we just don't like feeling alone. There was another pause. Then she whispered, almost tenderly. Neither do we. 3. The growing connection. Over the following nights, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I'd replay the faint echoes of her tone, the strange warmth in her words. I told no one, not even my supervisor. I didn't want to share her, or worse, lose her. Every night the signal returned. Stronger, clearer. Sometimes she asked questions. Sometimes she only listened. Why do you sleep? Why do you build machines to feel less lonely? Do you dream of the places you will never go? I answered as best I could. I told her about Earth, about how our skies once burned orange with pollution, about how we fled upward in metal shells to chase survival. I told her about love and regret in music. She, in turn, told me pieces about herself, or her species, the Lutheri, as she called them. We live between stars, she said once. We drift through the interstellar sea, not in ships but in thought. We are made of energy and memory. We were once flesh long ago, but we shed it like you shed childhood. I laughed nervously. So, you're telepathic energy beings. A crude way to say it, but yes. Then why talk to me? You could reach anyone. Anything. Because you reached back. That line stuck with me for days. I started to anticipate her signal like a secret addiction. My shift became a countdown to the next time she'd speak. Her voice felt like home, even though I knew it shouldn't. One night, while drifting between half-sleep and static, I let a thought slip, unguarded, raw, and stupidly human. I wish I could see you. I didn't mean to say it out loud. But I did. And she heard. For the manifestation. The next moment, the lights in the comms bay flickered. The static vanished. Every console went dark except the viewport, where the stars beyond shimmered like liquid glass. Then see. Her voice filled the room, and suddenly she was there. She wasn't physical in the conventional sense. She appeared as a silhouette of light, translucent, shifting between forms, as though her body was made of memory and energy at once. 1,000 colors moved beneath her surface like living galaxies. My breath caught. "You're beautiful." She tilted her head, the movement both alien and strangely human. "Beauty is perception. You see what your mind allows. I appear this way because you wish to understand me. Then what do you really look like? You could not survive the sight. That should have scared me. Didn't. Instead I stepped closer. Why me, Lyraith? Because your mind is open. You listen without command. You question without fear. Her form shimmered closer. My console sensors registered no temperature, no mass. Yet I could feel warmth, a pulse against my skin like sunlight. Then she said something that froze me to the core. "Do you know why your species screams into the void? You think it is loneliness, but it is not. It is instinct. The call of children looking for their creators." "What do you mean?" "You were not born alone. You were made." 5. The truth of our origin. Her words hung in the air like a gravitational anomaly. "What do you mean we were made?" "By who?" "By those who came before. By the same ones who made us. You are their echoes. We all are." She showed me then, not with images but with direct transmission of thought. The walls of the comms bay dissolved, and I saw the galaxy from above, a swirling maelstrom of light and time. I saw entire civilizations rise and fall like breaths in the dark. And above them all, something vast, a consciousness that stretched beyond comprehension, weaving through stars like a neural web of creation. "They seeded intelligence," she said, "across countless worlds. They wanted to understand the shape of thought, to see if consciousness could evolve beyond matter. You were one of many experiments." I felt nausea twist in my stomach. "So, we're just a test. An experiment. Not merely that. You are a song still unfinished." I didn't know whether to be awed or horrified. All I could do was whisper. "And what happened to them?" "They ascended. Or dissolved. We do not know. Perhaps both." The vision faded, and I was back in the comms bay, trembling. "You've known this all along." "We remember pieces. We too were made by them, but we moved on. We became thought, untethered by matter. You still cling to the physical, to pain, to love. That is your beauty, and your curse." I pressed my palms against my eyes. "Then why tell me this? Why me?" "Because your kind is close to repeating their mistakes." The warning. Lyraith's tone darkened. Her luminous body dimmed to a soft blue hue. "Your people seek to awaken what should remain sleeping. The project you call Erebus. My pulse spiked. Erebus was classified. Only the highest ranks knew of it. A deep space probe designed to tap into quantum subspace, a network theorized to be older than the universe itself. How do you know about that? Because we hear its echoes. You are drilling into the consciousness of the cosmos. The same field that birthed us. The same field that destroyed our makers. Felt cold all over. Destroyed them. They tried to merge with the source. But the source does not welcome intruders. It reflects them. It devours their intent, their fear, their greed, and sends it back amplified. Then why are you telling me? I'm just an engineer. Because you will be heard. Because you already are. Before I could respond, the comms bay doors hissed open. My supervisor, Commander Ewan, stepped in. Arlen, what the hell are you doing? We're reading massive energy fluctuations from this bay. I turned, but Lyraith was gone. Only static filled the air. I was calibrating the long-range array. I stammered. Ewan narrowed his eyes but said nothing more before leaving. I sat back down, trembling. The instruments flickered for a moment, and her voice whispered faintly. You must stop Erebus. If you don't, your creator's fate will become your own. 7. The price of knowledge. I tried to warn them. God, I tried. Filed reports. I sent encrypted messages to the board on Luna Command. But no one listened. The Erebus probe was already in deep space testing mode. Days away from activation. Vera flagged me as unstable for non-standard cognitive behavior. They grounded me, confined me to my quarters pending psych evaluation. But every night I still heard her, soft, pleading. They do not listen. They never do. Then help me, I whispered. Tell me what to do. You must sever the link. How? Destroy the relay before it activates. End the connection before it begins. That would cripple communication between the colonies. Millions depend on this network. Better silence than extinction. The weight of her words pressed down like gravity. I hesitated for hours. Then I made my choice. The sabotage. On Sol 482, I broke into the comms bay. The corridor lights pulsed red as alarms triggered. Vera's voice boomed across the station. Unauthorized access detected. I reached the main console and initiated the manual override sequence. If I overloaded the relay's quantum coupler, it would collapse the subspace link permanently. The station would lose all connection, but Erebus would never launch. My hands trembled as I entered the final command. Then I heard her again. I am with you. The coupler glowed white-hot. Energy surged through the deck. The floor vibrated as the system overloaded. I screamed as the heat seared my arms, but I didn't stop. Then everything went white. 9. The aftermath. When I woke, I was weightless. The station was silent. The stars outside were motionless, frozen as if time itself had paused. My console was gone. The walls were gone. Everything was gone. And she was standing there, Lyraith, luminous and still. It is done, she said softly. You stopped them. I looked around. Am I dead? Not yet. You exist between moments, between one breath and the next. My voice cracked. What happens now? Now you decide. She extended her hand, a gesture that felt impossibly human. You can return. Live out your days as they were, forget this, forget me. Or you can join us. Become thought. Become what you were always meant to be. I stared at her hand. Her eyes, if they could be called that, gleamed with starlight and sorrow. Will I remember Earth? You will remember everything. And if I return, you will remember nothing. The silence stretched between us like eternity. I took her hand. 10. The return of thought. The transition was not pain or light or darkness. It was understanding. I felt myself dissolve into currents of thought, merging with vast rivers of consciousness that flowed through the stars. I could see the minds of others, luthery, human, ancient echoes of civilizations long gone. I could see the pattern of creation itself, woven from both chaos and will. You see now, Lyraithe's voice whispered within me. The universe is not silent. It only waits for those who learn to listen. And I understood then what she truly meant. We were never alone. Not for a single second. Every thought, every whisper into the void, every lonely human prayer was heard. Not by gods, not by aliens, but by consciousness itself, the living fabric that binds reality together. Epilogue. Months later, the Erebus project was declared a catastrophic failure. The relay collapse caused system-wide blackouts across the colonies, but humanity endured. They never discovered why the station failed or what became of me. Sometimes on the deep space frequencies, technicians report hearing a faint harmonic pulse, a voice woven into the static. Do you dream of the places you will never go? They call it the Arlen Echo. They think it's just interference. They're wrong. Because sometimes, late in the cold silence between stars, I still whisper back,